welcome everyone. Go back into present mode. This is How to Choose a Program. My name is Jessie Walker. I'm a Global Programs Advisor with Rustic Pathways. I have worked with Rustic for about 10 years now and run programs in about 10 different countries. Formerly the director of our Tanzania program, so I'm happy to answer any and all questions about any and all programs. So thank you again for joining us. We will have some time at the end of the presentation for questions and answers. I do also have a colleague of mine, a wonderful colleague, her name is Emily. She'll be answering questions behind the scenes. So feel free to use the little questions box at the bottom of your screen, I believe, to send your questions in, and she'll answer some of them during the presentation, and then we'll get to some more at the end of the presentation. Also stay tuned because as a special gift for attending the webinar and getting more information, which we love, we will have a 10% off discount code for you to use. It will be good for 72 hours after the presentation, and that will be at the end of the presentation, so stay tuned. During this webinar, we are going to talk a little bit about Rustic Pathways. If you're brand new to us, talk about our company, about comparing experiences, about the different types of programs that we offer. We'll be evaluating destinations because we have quite a few different countries to send your students to, how to maximize your summer experience. We'll talk about scholarships and fundraising and how to enroll. If again, you're brand new to the website, it's a little bit, there's a lot of information there, so I'll help you navigate. And then again, we'll have that time for at the end for questions and answers. So Rustic Pathways, we really do see ourselves as the intersection between education, travel, and philanthropy. This is a really important time for students. They're in high school, they're trying to decide where they want to go in life, what they want to be, what they want to study. And we find, just given this day and age and how global the world is becoming, we want to give the opportunity for students to sort of broaden their horizons, meet people from outside their communities, their home neighborhoods, meet students from around the world, go into small communities that are so different from their own way of life, and learn from that experience and carry that forward into kind of who they become as an adult. So that is the opportunity, or that is the reason we run these programs, is for students to sort of get out of their box and challenge themselves and learn something new. And there's a whole bunch of different benefits that I can kind of ramble on about, but that is what we do and what the kinds of programs that we offer. We offer all different types of experiences in our programs, and that's why we are putting this webinar, and we know that there are a lot of options out there. You can choose a program for the community service, and we have all different ranges of community service, which we'll go into a little bit, I believe on the next slide. And there's also a different number of service hours. So some programs have up to 5 service hours, and some programs have up to 60 service hours in one program. So there's all different levels there depending on what you're going for. We have adventure programs, something like climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, which is also going to have the cultural element. They're going to learn about life in Tanzania, about different conservation initiatives that are around Kilimanjaro. So it's not just the adventure, but that's the main focus of the program. We also have purely adventure programs, and then we have a lot of programs that are a combination thereof. We have our critical issues programs, and when I get to showing you how to navigate the website a little bit, I'll show you where to find all of these programs, or these categories of programs. But our critical issues programs is a fantastic series of programs. Highly recommend for students that are looking to dive a little bit deeper into a particular topic. These are going to be revolving around issues facing this generation. So it may be women's empowerment education in rural parts of the world. It may be water, sanitation, and bringing drinkable water, potable water to different communities around the world. It may be like the Tanzania Clean Water Initiative, or bringing irrigation or things like that. So there's a lot of really awesome programs that we offer for students that are looking to get really involved in a particular topic. And then we have our base house programs that are ideal places for first-time travelers or students who want to start off with a little bit more comfortable amenities. So all of our base houses, they're properties that we own and operate around the world. They're going to have flushing toilets, seated toilets, at least warm running water, electricity, those kinds of things. So it's not too far off the beaten path, which we absolutely have that as well. But a lot of students have a range of what they're looking for, and so we do have programs that beaten path, and then we have programs that are good places to start, and those base house programs are in that category. And then, as we mentioned, number 5, some or all of the above. A lot of our programs are a combination thereof, and so it is super helpful to click into each program page, and on each program page we're going to have the complete day-to-day itinerary except for the mystery trip, and we're going to have FAQs and a packing list and all sorts of information to help you decide if that's the best fit program. Also keep in mind, as a global programs advisor, I have several colleagues of mine. We all have around 10 years of experience or more, so please do feel free to give us a call at any time. We're always happy to help and compare and contrast programs as you start to narrow down the options. So as I mentioned, we have several different types of service, and this is out of about 100 different programs that we offer, about 75% or so, give or take, offer some sort of service element. We find it's a really important and beneficial aspect of our programs. Students that are not only, sometimes you have the requirement from school, but I personally, when I led programs, I always like to lead the service programs because I find it's a really powerful experience. It's not just the giving back, but it's actually the interaction between you and the local people. All of our service projects are created and designed with the local community in mind. Oftentimes you'll be working right alongside the local community, and so I think that interaction is super powerful for students on these programs, and it gives you something that you can't really get as a tourist to those countries. Different types of service that we offer may be involving education, so perfect for students that like to work with kids. We also have adult education programs. We have infrastructure development projects where you're actually going to be getting dirty and working with your hands and building something and seeing it come to fruition, which is awesome for a lot of students. We have environmental and animal welfare, conservation projects. So a lot of students have an interest with global warming and conservation efforts, reforestation, that kind of thing, wetland reforestation. We also have economic development projects, and we have public health and social services programs. And within the service programs, a slightly different category, we also have education programs. So this may have a service element to them, or they may not. It could be something like medical certification or photography or language immersion. That's another type of program that we offer that is perfect for a student who is possibly wanting to get into the medical field or wants to work with animals and maybe become a vet. We have a program at the Australia Zoo, which is perfect for students like that. So really a wide range of programs. And we often get parents or students that will call in and say, okay, well, what's the best program, or what's the most popular program? And the reason we offer so many different types of programs is, quite honestly, if the program isn't reviewed well by students and it's not hitting the mark, it doesn't last long. So we have a lot of different programs because we have a lot of different students, and we really do value looking at the student as an individual and matching the program to that student. And that can be different whether they're a freshman or a senior. For the same exact kid, they may evolve, and we want to start them off in a good place so that gives them a good foundation, and they can move on to something a little bit more hardcore or maybe more focused in a particular type of topic. Evaluating destinations. So as I mentioned, we have programs in around 17, 20 different countries. We do have a mystery program, so you won't be able to see that on this map, but we do have programs in North America, Latin America, Africa, Asia proper, Southeast Asia, and South Pacific. So a lot of different places to choose. A lot of times when you're looking at programs, students may already have a genuine vested interest in maybe traveling to Tanzania or to China, which is awesome. It really narrows down the options, and we can have a country program page where you can see all those programs at a glance. But sometimes it's not that easy. Sometimes kids have a very wide interest and they kind of just want to travel anywhere, and they're open to all different types of experiences, which is awesome. But it also is a little bit harder to start your narrowing down process. So as a first-time traveler with Rustic Pathways, some of the things to ask yourself is, how far do you want to travel? Do you prefer, maybe if it's your first time, to stay a little bit closer to home if you're coming from the US? If you're joining us from outside the country, do you want to stay a little bit closer to your home country? Maybe the flight isn't too long. If you're coming from the US, flights to Latin America, you're going to be coming from either Newark, Houston, or Miami. We also have amazing programs within the US, especially for adventure seekers. We have an awesome service program in New Orleans and Houston, and those are, in my personal opinion, some of the most powerful experiences, because it's service in your own backyard. You don't have to go all the way around the world to do global service. You can do some really meaningful and poignant service in your own backyard, interacting with other Americans who already have a very different lifestyle than you, and you live in your own country. So that can be a very incredible learning experience for our students. Highly recommend taking a look at those programs. Another question is, are you looking for an off the beaten path experience? So we definitely have, even within one country, we have a wide range of experiences. Sometimes you might want to start at a base house. Sometimes you might want to, so for example, Costa Rica, we have a couple different base house options, very popular within Costa Rica, especially for first time travelers. But we also have a program like our Bree Bree Indigenous Community Program. That is much more off the beaten path. In my personal opinion, it's one of the more unique experiences that we offer within the country. It's a community of people that it's not super easy to visit as a visitor to Costa Rica. Not many people get to learn about the Bree Bree people. So for students, I think that's a really unique opportunity and something where even if as a family you've traveled or as parents you've traveled to Costa Rica, they might get to do something, learn a little bit more deeper aspect of the country than maybe you have. So that's kind of a cool opportunity. And again, sort of speaks to the range of different options that we have. And then of course, do you have any dietary restrictions or allergies? So this is a big one to think about. I'm sure it's something that's on the top of your mind as a parent and as a student, if this is something that is important to you. We can really accommodate most dietary needs. We definitely, every summer we have vegetarians and vegans and students with that need to be gluten-free or celiacs, things like that. So a lot of the most common dietary needs we can handle on a lot of our programs. That being said, it's not a blanket answer. So when you have a special dietary need, please give us a call. There's going to be certain things, like if you have a severe peanut allergy, we definitely don't recommend traveling to Thailand. And there may be some cases where we just won't take a student on that particular program because it's too rural and we can't necessarily mitigate the risk of peanut contamination into the foods. But again, our base house programs are awesome to start for students who have specific dietary needs, because those are going to be places that we have our own chefs. We can control the diet, and as long as we know in advance, we can properly prepare for that student. So another thing to just give us a call if you do have dietary restrictions, but it's not something that it's something that we're pretty common, and we have every summer various needs, so give us a call. So maximize your summer. This is something that we think is super fun about our programs. All of our programs are designed to connect. So within a given country, the programs begin and end on the exact same day in the same city. On the website, you'll see that the dates are going to overlap a little bit, and that is because they include the travel time to and from the US. So if you drop those days off because you're actually staying in country, they actually seamlessly connect. It's super easy, and it's actually pretty common. So lots of really common combinations we can kind of speak to. But we do this explicitly because a lot of companies offer like a 6 to 8 week itinerary, and the kids are kind of locked into all these different aspects. Maybe they aren't super loving this part, but they'll sign up because they kind of love half of it. We would much rather that the students are able to sort of build an itinerary that perfectly fits their interests and their schedule, because kids are so busy these days. So a good example is like combining 2 different types of service, or 2 different a service program with an adventure program, 2 totally different programs, to create that nice balanced itinerary. And we do get a lot of people call up and say like, hey, my kid is used to 6 to 8 weeks of summer camp. They go to sleepaway camp all the time, and you guys have 1 week programs in Tanzania. This is a really good example. Sammy was with us for several weeks. It looks like she was with us for 5 weeks. She did 2 weeks of African wildlife conservation, diving deep into animal conservation and working with the Jane Goodall Institute. Incredible program. She did 2 weeks of climbing Kili, which again is like a small portion of the beginning, kind of learning about life in the region of Kilimanjaro, and then spending another week actually climbing one of the 7 summits of the world, which is pretty amazing for students. And then she followed that up with Serengeti to Zanzibar, which is a 1 week program, a perfect add-on to other programs in the area. And that is a program that is half land safari in a couple different national parks, including the Serengeti, which is one of the most amazing national parks in the world. And then the other half of that program is visiting the island of Zanzibar and learning about the history there and the spice trade and all that kind of thing. So that's a really amazing, well-rounded 5-week itinerary that she combined to sort of give her that full experience of Tanzania. And she visits several different parts of the country in that itinerary. So that's something we can do easily. Another really popular one is to go to Costa Rica and do like a week of language immersion, and then a week of service where you actually get to work with people and put your language and conversational skills to use. So lots of different ideas there, but we love to see students building an itinerary that perfectly fits what they're going for. We do have scholarships, and we love to have students fundraise. I personally find that students who fundraise are more personally invested. They see the value of what they've kind of worked for when they get to travel abroad and have these experiences with local people. So we have an awesome fundraising packet on our website that is specifically designed to help students get started. There's a bunch of different ideas for fundraising. There's even the ability to set up a fundraising website, which is super helpful. And then we do offer scholarships. We have 2 rounds of scholarship, one for the fall and one for the spring. So there's still time to apply for the spring round. The deadline is in the end of March, and then students will find out in early April whether or not they received a scholarship. They are need and merit based, and I'll show you where on the website to find that information. So here's more information about scholarships, and the scholarship that I was speaking about is the service scholarship. We also have gap year scholarships, the critical issues scholarship, which for this year what has passed, that was in January, but we do have a critical issues summit, which I will also point out because this is a fantastic program. It's new this year. We are taking what we've learned from all of our critical issues programs and putting it into a 2-week summit for 100 students from at least 20 different countries around the world, including at the end sort of a competition, a design thinking competition that will be looking at a specific issue, and there will be $10,000 seed money to go towards that project and the solution that the students come up with, which is amazing. Lots of amazing featured speakers that you can find out about. So you, definitely recommend looking into the summit. And then we have a teacher appreciation program scholarship. This is a certain percentage off of any program, and it's good for anyone working in the education field. We value our teachers. We value anybody who's invested in the education of our students. So that you don't necessarily have to be a teacher. You can be an administrator or a counselor. Just working within the school system makes you eligible for that program. And then again, the service scholarships that I mentioned, and I will show you that on the website. So let me get out of here for a moment, and I'm going to show you how to enroll. Before I do that, though, I'm just going to show you, here's the website once it loads. And if you click here in the top right corner, this menu, this sandwich menu, sort of our giant menu pops up. You can search by programs, by country right here. One page I love to have parents or students for that matter start off with is this program types page right here. If you click that, that is going to take you here where it's a quick reference. You can explore by type of program, which is where you're going to find that base house program, college summer programs, all of our critical issues programs. Also, Young Explorers, these are programs specifically for 12 and 13-year-olds, our middle schoolers. Fantastic programs that are designed for that age group, a great way to get their international feet wet if they've never traveled either internationally, period, or at least internationally without their parents. We have our leaders that are specifically trained to work with that age group and kind of get them, they experience a little bit of everything. It's going to have a little bit of service, a little bit of adventure, some movement. It's going to travel around a little bit. And really kind of get their feet wet for their next program decisions as they move into high school. And then again, explore by personality. So there's lots of different personality categories. This is a great way to narrow it down. You'll see a smaller list rather than trying to search through all 100 programs based off of the student's personality and what they're looking for. Again, if you go back to that menu, the flights and travel page is super helpful to learn about flights and how we do that. If you're coming from the US, there will be a hub airport within the US. You're only responsible for getting to that hub airport, after which we will take it from there. So we're going to arrange all the international portion of the students' travel. Students will be with our staff from the point they meet us at the hub airport until they return. So they're nice and safe, and we'll keep them together as a group. We have airport coordinators in the airport, in addition to the flight chaperones that actually take the whole group through security and be with them until they meet their leaders. in country. So it's a nice smooth process, but you can learn more about that there, learn about the hub airports and the airlines that we use, etc. And then right here is where that scholarships information will be. And there's a bunch of different links you can kind of click into and learn more. Just to point out, inside Rustic, we do have a lot of information here. Student impact, I think if you're brand new to Rustic Pathways, especially as a parent, but even as a student, this is a lot of information about the research that we're doing about the impact that we have on our students. We are getting this from surveys that we send to students both before they travel, after they travel, and then even again quite a bit later when they travel, just to see the development and the growth that takes place, which is, I think, fascinating information. And then also global community impacts. It's not only impacting our students, but we want to have a good impact on the rest of the world and the communities in which we operate. We've been in operation as a company for more than 35 years now, and we want to be around for a lot longer. And so to do that, we want to make sure that we're doing it right, and connecting with our communities and making sure that they are part of this whole process. So those are really interesting. There's a health and safety page as well. Once you're ready to enroll, there's an enroll now button. Also, contact us. So the contact us page is going to give you a bunch of different ways to contact us. The easiest way, either during business hours, is to chat with us or give us a call. But there's also a link on this page, and I'll just click into that at the top here, where you can schedule a call. And this has been super helpful for families if you can't call us necessarily during the day, or it's hard to reach us because you've got a lot of things going on. Click into here. You can access our calendar, and you can actually schedule for us to give you a call at a convenient time for you. So that's also a great way to get in touch with us. And then finally, when you are ready to enroll, click here. It's some basic information. Something to be aware of is for new students, the end of our regular season is March 6th, after which you can still enroll, but the enrollment fee will increase from $100 to $200. So we just want to make sure that you're aware of that. This is because we start to book flights in the end of March and early April. We find that this is the right time to make sure that you have a passport that's valid for at least 6 months, make sure that you have the right visas and vaccinations, and there's a whole bunch of preparation that goes into getting you out there in the world safely. So we want to make sure that parents and families are kind of getting enrolled in enough time to have plenty of time to prepare for your trip. So that's March 6th to be aware of. Then the application itself is pretty straightforward. There is the opportunity to save your spot. Let me just click into a program here, let's say Morocco. So if you are interested maybe in the High Atlas Mountain Service program, we have several different dates. If you are in a rush and you can't quite fill out the application form right now, you can always save your spot. That's going to give you 72 hours to complete your application, especially if you see, so they're sort of color coded, and the programs will say available until there are fewer than half the spots left. It'll say limited. And then once it gets to about 4 or 5 spots left, it actually starts a red countdown. So you'll see the programs that are nearly sold out. You can always use that save your spot to enroll, or the enroll button right next to it. It's also an easy way to get there. And I believe it is time for that 10% code. So go ahead and write that down or take a screenshot. This is going to be good for 72 hours, again, as a thank you for joining me tonight and listening to my ramble. Hopefully it was helpful and lots of information for you, but use the code RP1Web. There's going to be a little referral code section on the application. It's in one of the first couple pages. You'll see that at the bottom of the page. Go ahead and pop that in there and you will get 10% off your enrollment. I'll leave that up there on the screen for another moment. And I am going to see if we have any questions coming in. And the 10% code is probably actually going to be good through midnight on Sunday. So probably a little bit more than 72 hours, midnight on Sunday. It doesn't look like we do have any questions. We've got several people watching though, so I'm going to give you another second to kind of throw in your last minute questions. Otherwise, again, we are here usually 9 to 9, Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5 on Fridays. But feel free to use that schedule call. We'd love to answer any of all of your questions. Thank you again for joining us. And with that, I will sign off. You guys have a great weekend. looks like we have one last question at the buzzer. How competitive are other scholarships? So they are pretty competitive, I will say. We get a lot of scholarship applications every year. We have divided it into 2 rounds, so you don't have to wait all year, but the ones for the spring, I would definitely recommend taking your time on the application itself. There's no benefit to getting in first or early. We will review all the applications once the deadline has passed. So feel free to take your time. I would also recommend maybe not waiting till the very, very last minute in case you have questions. So usually if the deadline, I would give yourself a little bit of time before the deadline to submit, but also take your time. Just be yourself, be authentic, show us your dedication to service, not just that you want to travel abroad, but why are you necessarily dedicated to service? And if you do volunteer work in your local neighborhood as well, that's going to look awesome on your application. So show us your who you are and why you think this will be a beneficial experience for you. Let's see. Question about how different are the program offerings from year to year? So they do change every year. We are constantly, like I said, we send reviews to students, we send reviews to parents. We are constantly trying to update and keep our programming fresh, and we absolutely take into consideration the feedback from our students. So if there's one particular program that is really popular, but maybe one part of it, we may update that one part, or we may actually just drop a program if it's not performing well. So we lose a few programs every year, and then we add a few new programs every year. New programs are usually announced early August, so that's something to kind of keep your eye out if you're looking for 2020. We don't typically offer, we don't add programs late in the season. So if you don't see something available in the fall, there's a chance sessions may be added, but we do announce all of our programming about the summer the year before. So again, about end of July, early August, we'll be announcing our new program schedule for the following summer. And those will typically be the programs that we offer. There's some updates sometimes that happen in September or whatnot, but by this time of year, we won't be adding any programs for 2019. But check back with us in the summer to see if something will be available for next year. We have a question about what is the comparison of free and fun time to service time? Totally depends on the program. And that's where, let me just show you real quick on the website. You can actually quickly compare programs here. If you go back to like a country page, for example, or this is going to be the same thing for all category pages, you can quickly see here, there's a couple different ways. You can use the thumbnail view, and you can use these different comparison metrics. You can also switch over here to a list view, which is relatively new to the website if you haven't seen this, but this is also an easy way to compare programs. Here's all of the sort of quintessential information right here. And you'll also be able to see the service hours. So in a 2-week program, there's 0 service hours on this program. Here's another 2-week program, 25 service hours. So there's always going to be a balance. There's no program that we offer where students are going to come and do 100% of their time doing service work, wake up, service, go to bed. We find that the programs are going to be popular and have that real lasting effect if they also include cultural immersion and learning about the program and interacting with locals and interacting with the local guides that you have, and they'll be taking you around and showing you different important sites and things to know and tasting different foods and things like that. So it's going to be all encompassing. If you read through the itinerary though, it'll give you a better idea of like, maybe there's going to be 3 days of service work and maybe those are full days, maybe those are half days. It really does depend quite a bit on the itinerary itself. So if you're looking for a program with a lot of service hours, we do have some, like I said, go up to about 60 hours, and then everything in between from 0 to about 60 is the range. And good question about payments. So we do offer payment plans. You have the option to either pay in full or pay in installments. There is a 3% service fee to be aware of installments, and that schedule is pretty flexible. Your payments begin about 2 weeks after you enroll, and the final payment is due about 90 days before departure. They're typically broken up into about 2 equal installments, but we're flexible on that if you prefer more installments. So we do offer a payment plan, especially for students or families that are fundraising throughout. That can be super helpful. When you enroll, you'll be paired with one of our personal travel advisors. that is a team of people that is specifically there to help you through this whole process. So they're going to help you with your forms and with your flights and any other questions that come up. You'll have their direct contact details, their email and phone number. And so make it a nice, smooth process. Anything that comes up, they're there to help you out. And I will give y'all one more moment to pop in any other questions. Other than that, please do give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. I'm going to go ahead and put that 10% discount code up on the screen just for one more time in case you missed it. Here's our phone number and our email or our website address. There's the discount code. We hope to see you guys. And again, thanks for joining us.